Welcome to our journey through Japan's darkest and most fascinating mysteries. If you like horror films, you know that the Japanese are in a class of their own when it comes to this genre. Just think of cult films such as The Hoop, Dirty Water, Return of the Girl and Miss Cole. This dominance of horror cinema is no accident. These stories on the big screen are inspired by bizarre and terrifying Japanese legends. Let's take a look at some of them. It is not new that in Asia there is a real and almost obsessive concern for aesthetics, beauty and youth. And this Japanese legend adds a layer to this obsession, even beyond this. Let's find out who Kushisake Onna, or the woman with the cut mouth, is. According to legend, it is said that if you walk at night, you will have the luck, or rather the bad luck, to come across a woman wearing a surgical mask. I might as well tell you that during the COVID period, there must have been a lot of panic attacks. When you pass close enough to her, she will try to trap you by asking you a question.
Am I beautiful?
Several possibilities are available to you, but be careful, the answer is not as simple as you might think. You can answer no, well if you tell her it's clearly asking for trouble, and in these cases, she will cut you off in two with the giant scissors she carries with her. If you answer yes, she takes off her mask and shows you a mouth cut from ear to ear.
Am I beautiful?
If you shout or say no or say a classic "ah, dirty," the woman will cut off your head. If you answer yes, the woman satisfied with your answer will give you the same smile as the Joker in Batman. Other versions say that if you answer yes to both questions, the woman will follow you to the door of your house and murder you. These are several versions of the origin of this terrifying woman, but the most common dates from before the First World War. Legend has it that in feudal Japan, there lived a beautiful but vain woman who married a samurai. The beauty of this woman was such that she was continually courted by other men, committing frequent infidelities to her husband who, one day, tired of these infidelities and in a fit of jealousy and rage, took his katana and cut his mouth from side to side, shouting,
"Do you think you're beautiful now?"
Legend has it that this woman became a demonic spirit, or as it is called in Japan, a yokai, who would return from the dead to terrorize and kill people. In 1979, there were reports of encounters with Kushisake Onna throughout Japan, and in 2000, Japanese people again claimed to have seen her wandering the streets. Is there a way to escape Kushisake Onna? Some say you can confuse or distract her with ambiguous responses, like telling her she's normal or ordinary, or throwing money or candy at her, maybe even seeds like with birds, since even the legend tells us to disrespect her might as well go all the way. No? What do you think about it? Others say that you can scare her with sacred objects, such as amulets or crucifixes, or by pronouncing the name of Buddha or Jesus. Obviously, she's quite open about religions. This is already a positive point for her. It is also said that we can avoid meeting her by wearing a mask, because she would interpret this as a sign of respect or solidarity. Suffice to say that this is perhaps why we have not heard about it between 2019 and 2023. Legend, reality, it's up to you. But if you are going to Japan and you have to go out on a foggy night, a dark, dreary night, think twice before venturing into one of its streets, because you may encounter Kushisake Onna. Another haunted spirit is Teke Teke. This legend tells the story of a woman, more likely a teenager, who was cut in two by a train. When she died, she transformed into an onryo of spirit. Today, her mind crawls using her elbows and hands, while her torso makes the characteristic teke teke sound when he hits the ground. If you meet her, she will cut you in half to make you look like her. The most common version of the legend is that it was a ghost of an introverted girl, which made her the frequent butt of jokes by her classmates. Until one day, one of these pranks got out of hand. One day, her classmates, seeing her waiting for the train with a blank look, slipped up behind her and placed a cicada on her shoulder. When she saw it, she started jumping to remove it and ended up falling on the railway tracks, where a speeding train cut her in two, or should we say that the later joke folded in two. Following this, the boys swore not to tell anyone about what had happened and made public the version that, being a strange girl, she could not stand her life and decided to throw herself in front of the train that was passing. Even if you want to kill someone by mistake, you might as well go all the way by destroying their image with their parents and loved ones. Why not, after all? But one night, the young woman returned for revenge. The three friends were walking in the night near the place when they began to hear a strange noise, which seemed to be getting closer and closer. When they turned around, there she was, the legless girl, her guts hanging out, staring at them. They tried to escape, but it was no use. The ghost proceeded to cut the three friends in two using a scythe, leaving them in the same state. Other versions speak of another young woman. It is said the legend of Kashima Hireko, a young woman brutally abused by a group of men who, after beating her, abandoned her, believing her to be dead. But that wasn't the case. Unable to get up, she tried to call for help, but to no avail. As she tried to move around to find someone, she crawled onto a train track and collapsed, unconscious. The train, like the men you might say, passed over her, but it left a few more marks on her, as you might expect, sewing her cleanly in two. This version is more terrifying than the previous ones, because since this tragic incident, the ghost returned in search of revenge, traveling the world in search of his lost legs. It generally appears in school toilets, but it can also appear in the bathroom of any house at midnight. Well, why obviously in places where people undress will not judge the perverted inclinations of this spirit. His name is an abbreviation of the words Kamen Shinin Ma. In English, Mask Death Demon. The spirit of Kashima is said to haunt public toilets at the stations. When he surprises the occupant, he asks him where his legs are. If the occupant responds incorrectly, Kashima cuts them from the waist down. To escape, the victim must answer that they are on the tracks at Meishin Station. Sometimes he also asks her name, which is a trick question because by answering Kashima Reiko, she can lunge at the victim. In this case, the subject must answer Kamen Shinin Ma. Let's leave the Yoban legend behind and enter the world of yokai. But what are yokai? Supernatural creatures that have been part of Japanese folklore for centuries. They can be spirits, demons, or monsters, and they often have very specific characteristics and behaviors. Each yokai has its own history and characteristics. Let's start with the water yokai, Kappa, an aquatic being who inhabits rivers and lakes. On his head, he wears a saucer containing water, his source of energy. Kappa can be both mischievous and dangerous. They are said to have a code of honor and can be tricked into bowing, spilling the water and remaining harmless. It is possible that the myth originated from the ancient Japanese tradition of placing stillborn fetuses in small boats and throwing them into rivers. Furthermore, the legends of the Kappa are said to be based on the Japanese giant salamander or Enzaki, an aggressive salamander that traps its prey using its powerful jaws. Finally, Yuki Onna, the spirit of the snow woman. She appears on cold nights and can be both benevolent or dangerous. It is said that she bewitches travelers with her beauty before leading them to a freezing death. Yuki Onna is described as a tall, beautiful woman with long hair who manifests on snowy nights. Her skin is pale, even transparent, or even purple, one could say almost inhuman. Its color makes it confusing in snowy landscapes. She sometimes wears a white kimono, but other legends say that she appears naked lying in the snow. Let's not forget that we're in Japan, the creators of hentai, after that we must be shocked that they imagine everyone naked. Despite her inhuman body, her eyes can terrorize mortals. Yuki Onna floats in the snow, leaving no trace. In fact, some legends say that she has no feet, a notable feature of many Japanese ghosties, and that she can transform into a cloud of mist or snow if she feels threatened. Japan is a country full of superstitions and urban myths. But if you think about it, almost every culture has their own, and having ancient origins, it was easier for people to connect the strange with something supernatural, since there was no scientific knowledge to explain it.